Hi everybody, and welcome back. This is step 7 in our series, Maximizing Happiness and Minimizing Regrets. And this step is delaying gratification. This is something we all need to be concerned with, whether we're young or old. This is kind of a pattern of behavior that starts when we're kids, and some of us carry it through a lot or all of our adult lives, and it can get us into some trouble sometimes. Step 7 is delaying gratification. You could subtitle it, Delayed Gratification Can Be a Person's Best Friend. So let's go back and think when we were kids. When you're a kid, you want something, you want this brand new toy, you want to eat a certain food, you want it and you want it now. We're taught that way from when we're babies. When babies come out, they're hungry, they cry, they get what they want. But as we get older, we need to learn to delay these urges to gratify ourselves immediately. If we don't, it can get us into some trouble. So you know that this isn't too preachy. I'm going to explain a little bit about how this kind of behavior got me into trouble when I was younger. So if you look at the world we live in a world that basically promotes immediate gratification. You can get anything you want on demand, or you can say, I want this now, and you do 2 clicks on your smartphone and you have it. Or you don't even have to go shopping anymore. You can have stuff delivered right to your house. It's a little different than it used to be. So what I'm going to talk to you about kind of flies in the face of what's being taught to us by the media and by TV commercials. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I got myself into trouble when I was younger. So I suffer from bipolar depression, as many of you know. To make myself feel better, I would shop online. I collect many things. Most people that know me know I collect records and movie posters and things like that. So I would go spend money to make myself feel better. I would bid on eBay all day long, and when I was all done doing that, I would go drinking, spend a bunch of money on alcohol, spend money on other things I didn't need, and not worry about the consequences. Well, eventually the consequences did catch up with me, and I found myself not being able to pay the bills and great amounts of debt, and I was in a pretty bad place. So I had to learn as an adult that delaying these impulses to gratify ourselves is something that we all need to do, because not only did those things I was buying and that money I was spending not make me feel any better, I ended up with a lot worse consequences than I had to begin with. What I'm going to suggest to you is a kind of multifaceted approach on how to effectively make your life better by delaying gratification. So let me give you a real world example. For those parents out there, if you had to take those parenting classes years and years ago or currently, one of the things they teach you is if your child is not sleeping, if your child is crying for hours and hours and hours, do not approach the crib in anger. That's when children get abused, or when shaken baby syndrome happens. They tell you to count to 10, you can give yourself a timeout, whatever, and you're less likely to harm that child in that instance. Well, if we extrapolate that into the real world, when you get an impulse to do something, take a couple minutes and you think about it. You are a lot more inclined to consider consequences if you just take even a couple of minutes, it doesn't have to be all day, to just consider the consequences of this action, whatever it might be. Some of these actions can be quite dangerous, whether it be drug use, alcohol use, pornography. So this is no joke. It's not just spending tons of money or great amounts of money. People think it's just avoiding impulse buys at the grocery store. And they're there on purpose. The reason all that stuff is near the cash register is you're there, you're ready to pay. They don't want you to take up too much time thinking about buying this item, so they put it right there so you don't take time to consider the consequences. I'm telling you to do the exact opposite. Take 5-10 minutes before you make any type of important decision, at least, if not a lot longer. But even that little amount of time, you're bound to start thinking about what could happen if you engage in this behavior or make this decision. Like I said, these principles are very simple, but primarily what I'm doing here is utilizing the mistakes that I made to help everybody else. So again, I don't want to come across as I know more than somebody else or anything like that. These are just lessons I've learned through making a lot of mistakes in life. So, in short, if you are able to delay your gratification even a couple minutes and not act impulsively, you are less likely to make a bad life choice that will give you extended consequences. So that is it for today. Thank you again for tuning into my principles. We'll be back next week with step 8 to maximizing happiness and minimizing regret.